don't have a gavel to gavel us in, but that's close enough. Thank you. Welcome to the July 24th special meeting of the Zoning Board of Adjustments. Our chairperson and our vice chairperson are not here this evening, so looks like I'll be the one of the hot seats here. So the time is 6:07 p.m. and we'll have, I guess we have one hearing tonight on one issue, so we'll begin with the staff report.
So actually on the agenda, y'all have elections first.
We are going to do those first.
So we can. In the past, when you have had less than 5 of the regular members versus the alternate members, y'all have postponed the elections just because of whatever reasons. Okay. Wanted to make sure you knew that if you wanted to postpone it until all regular members are here, you can do that. But if you wanted to move forward, you can do that as well.
What's the sense of the board?
I'd make a motion that we postpone this until the full board's here to.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor, raise your arm. And those opposed? Okay, the motion passes. We'll postpone the election of officers until our next meeting then. We have 5 members here, so we have a full count of the board ready to go. All right, now let's do the approval of the minutes from May 1st of 2025. Do I have a motion for approval?
Make a motion to approve minutes from May 1st, 2025.
I'll second it.
Motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed. Motion passes. The minutes of May 1st of 2025 are approved. Excuse me. Too much dust outside there. All right, let's move into our regular agenda, and this is for consideration of and possible action of VAZ 2025-0268. It's a request for a variance for landscape requirements for a new lift station at the former Longwood treatment plant. And I saw on here a while ago the address of that because I looked it up. Does anybody see that address right now? Oh, here it is. The general location is 2727 Dixie Farm Road in Pearland. All right, let's go with the staff report.
Good evening, board members. Briefly, just for the record here, I'll introduce the format of this public hearing since there is a public hearing associated with it. First, of course, is the call to order, which we have done. There's a staff report, followed by an applicant presentation, then public comments in support or opposition of the request. If there are public comments, we ask that the public comment maker states their name and address for the record and be brief to the point within a 3-minute time frame. Then there will be a board and staff discussion, followed by a board vote to approve as presented, approve with conditions, or deny the request, or table the item should they see that be necessary. And then to just read the public hearing into the record as well. It is a request by Sheldon Buck with Freese and Nichols, Inc., applicant on behalf of the City of Pearland owner for approval of a variance as permitted by the Unified Development Code Ordinance Number 2000T to eliminate the required landscaping within the buffer area between a non-residential use and a residential use, which is section 2252A4 to wit. As mentioned in your introduction, this is a variance for a landscape buffer requirement within along Dixie Farm Road. So here's the full legal description as well as that general location address. The quick summary of the address or the request is that they are requesting to eliminate the plantings that are required within a buffer adjacent to a residentially zoned lot. The reason for this request is to be able to establish a lift station at the site prior to decommissioning the Longwood treatment plant. We have done our public notice and had not received any comment, written or phone calls in support or opposition to the request at this time. The general location is here along Dixie Farm Road. So you can see the site is circled here in red. The full extent of the original plat comes out to this, I guess, peninsula is how I'm going to phrase it here, and incorporates this area here. You can see the silo shapes from above of the water treatment plant, and then you can see the small area here that is the right-of-way, which is being incorporated into this site as a portion of the plat, which is not what we're here to speak on tonight. The area is surrounded by undeveloped / drainage area on the right side of it. This is not on a exactly cardinal direction, so I was laughing as I wrote my staff report, trying to find the right words for north, south, east, west, or if I wanted to go on the angle here. But this area where you can see the dark trees, this is Clear Creek and detention areas, as well as up here is also undeveloped drainage area. Across the street is property that's owned by the city of Pearland at this time. It is also undeveloped. Across the street is zoned with that GB zoning district though. And then there is the R1 and residentially zoned lots to the south / east of the property here. The history of this site is that it was annexed into the city in 1960 and established as the Longwood Treatment Plant in the mid-1970s. It was platted in 2011 as the Longwood Treatment Plant. These pictures from Google and our interactive map kind of show the area which we will be discussing tonight. So the water treatment plant is here. On the screen, you can see the big circle that is the building that you're familiar with as you drive past. You can see my dotted red line here, or dashed red line here, runs approximately where the red reflective signs are that you're seeing in this picture here. As a portion of the plat, this portion, or actually by separate instrument, however, it will be reflected on the plat, which is being presented next month. The right-of-way here is being acquired by this property. The portion of the property which is requesting a variance is this section here that is highlighted in yellow. So while there is the space to allow for the required buffer adjacent to this residential property, which is this gray line here that comes along the yellow line here, that area is within an easement for a pipeline and has existing utilities in it. And I'll show you that on the next slide. But this is a little bit easier to read than the plans because you can see these existing structures. And then you can see the shadow line here, which is an existing fence line. And you can see the actual fence in the picture here. So this here is this here, so just south of that. So the portion where the variance is being requested is outside that fence line and adjacent to the residential property and what used to be the right-of-way. You can see it on the screen here. It's at a little bit different angle, but the fence line is this line here. The blue is the 25-foot setback, and then the yellow is that 50-foot wide pipeline easement. So the yellow goes fully over the blue 25-foot setback, which would not allow for the plantings to be placed inside of it. And then this is the existing conditions of the site, but when they are done with the entirety of the project, this will be the lift station area. So you can see again, this blue line is where that 25-foot setback is. So they're proposing a masonry wall inside that area. So they have the space requirement, just not the planting requirement for it. They are meeting the buffer and space requirement, so landscaping and spacing requirement for the buffer along the other portion of the property, which is adjacent to single-family residential use. I've tried to lay it out on the pictures that you've seen. However, I'm happy to answer any questions you have. As far as the criteria for approval, it does meet all 8 criteria for a hardship to grant a variance. And staff finds that with the proposed and existing infrastructure conditions, the plantings would create the hardship, and recommends approval of the requested variance to remove the required landscaping from the landscape buffer along the east property line adjacent to the single-family residential subdivision. That in staff report.
Thank you, staff. Is there an applicant presentation tonight? Ma'am, if you would, state your name and address when you get to the podium, please. And please limit your comments to no more than 3 minutes. We have
Excuse me, I was going to say, it's actually, the applicant is the city of Pearland. Applicants don't traditionally have a time limit. That would be for public comment.
oh,
So,
okay.
but Fabiola knows to use your time wisely.
Does she need a, this is,
Yeah, Fabiola, are you looking to connect, or do you have something?
Yeah, I can connect, yeah.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Acting Chair. I don't know how to say that tonight.
close enough.
So my name is Fabiola Di Carvalho. I'm the Assistant Director of Capital Projects. We don't have a presentation ready for tonight, but we are here, myself and the engineer of this project present to answer any questions.
Anyone else wishing to speak on this subject? Did you want to speak, sir?
He just wanted to mention that we added additional trees on this section here. You can see, if you can see on the cursor here on the screen, additional trees on this side.
Okay, thank you. Any other comments? All right. Well, we'll go into our staff discussion and conversation. Any questions by the board?
Yes, I have a question. I might have missed it, but what's the hardship?
I apologize. The hardship is that the plantings required would need to be within an existing pipeline easement that has utilities which run all through it. In order to put the plantings in there that are required by our ordinance, which would include overstory trees, understory trees, and shrubs, those have to be 8 feet away from existing utility lines. And in doing so, they could not be placed within that yellow area that's highlighted on the screen. And the entirety of that buffer area is within the yellow pipeline easement. So in order to plant trees, it could not happen within that space, and they would have to move it fully within the green line. I no longer have the mouse here.
I'm showing on the screen here.
Just to help elaborate on that, there's some overlapping colors here. So imagine that yellow is fully yellow. Well, all of that is the pipeline easement. You can't put plants within the pipeline easement. So that's what the true hardship is. The code says whenever you have a non-residential use next to a residential use or residentially zoned property, that you have to provide this buffer, and that buffer includes the wall and the plantings. Well, in this case, there's an actual physical hardship, the pipeline, that you can't plant upon. But we can't, as staff, hand wave that away. We've got to seek a variance for it, even though it's city property.
Okay, anyone else? Any other questions?
Do you have a picture of the fence?
So there's a picture of the fence that was included in the staff presentation, but that fence is going to be added upon with a masonry fence. And I don't believe we've got a picture of the masonry fence.
And yeah, because it hasn't been, were you asking about the masonry fence that's going to be along Dixie Farm?
Yes.
So we don't have a picture of it, but we may have a rendering. We don't have the rendering.
Do you have anything? No, but do you have the rendering, like something that we're planning on installing?
Maybe we could provide a better picture with words of what that masonry fence is going to look like, so
Yes.
that they know what is being done to address any potential concerns with the adjacency with the public.
Okay, we can do that.
Who wants to be the verbal describer?
Sheldon.
Mr. Buck, if you are going to actually speak, we will ask you kindly to introduce yourself for the purposes of the record.
Okay. Yes, thank you. My name is Sheldon Buck. I'm with Friesen Nichols. My address is 10,497 Town and Country Way in Houston, Texas. Yes, what we are proposing is an 8-foot tall masonry fence on that area. So the state requires for a lift station to have a fence itself. They allow for a 6-foot tall fence with barbed wire or an 8-foot tall fence. So we don't want to put the barbed wire, so we're proposing an 8-foot tall kind of masonry concrete fence that has the kind of a rock look to it.
Can I ask a question about this particular slide also? Mr. Buck, it show on the slide we show the existing fence line, and then over to the right side as well, whatever that is. I see the dashed line, and is that? Tell me who owns that property within that dashed line? Is that owned by the city?
I can speak to that. So that is the right of way at this time. However, no, I'm sorry. It has been by separate measure acquired by the city and is in the process of being platted as a portion of the Longwood Treatment Plant plat. That plat has not gone before the Planning and Zoning Commission as it's waiting for BDD4 approval, but it is in the process. However, the right-of-way has already been acquired through separate measure. So that area that has the red dashed line here, that is city property as well at this time.
Won't be any kind of a fence, barrier, or like where you got the yellow line. I was just curious. Well, I guess that's not going to be visible from the road, though, will it?
So the site plan indicates that there would be a fence or a wall at the back of Myrtlewood Drive.
Okay.
So Myrtlewood will dead end into a fence wall.
I've zoomed in kind of aggressively here, but this is the green line that you can kind of see right here is that proposed wall that will run here.
Okay, so essentially everything north, or rather anything south and anything west will have a wall around it.
And it will tie into the existing blue, which is the existing, or
Okay.
has an existing fence that is here. So the fence that is adjacent to the residential property next door already has a masonry 8-foot fence at the rear, and it will tie into that.
I have a question. Why would the new trees be inside the fence instead of being outside the fence area?
The location where they can be placed with the utilities that are in the existing location allows for them to be here. However, there's a gas line that runs right here. And our ordinance does not specify that they need to be on which side of said wall, just that there is both vegetative and masonry screening placed there.
A fun little
That,
fact.
and you're looking at a very focused portion of the lot itself. When you zoom out a little bit, that's private property just on the other side of the fence there. So this is fitting as much as we can within that area, but also providing the screening additional to this site to meet compliance.
Well, my immediate thought was why spend the money to put the trees there that the general public isn't going to enjoy or isn't going to absorb sound from the traffic? Why not wait until all the rest of the plant that's currently there is eliminated, and plant those trees in that area where it's out amongst people can enjoy it or at least absorb traffic noise? That's just my thought. Because when I served on the Planning and Zoning Board, we ran into this issue on Orange Street, And to this day, when I drive down Orange Street, I get so mad because the one little word was the deal. So I just think it's kind of crazy for us taxpayers to pay for trees that aren't going to be enjoyed. Might as well have them out where, put it on the rest of the property after everything's bulldozed and moved off, unless they got plans for that.
Yeah. Well, in this case, it's to meet the residential buffer requirement because there is a resident just to the south and west.
Gotcha.
And that is a part of the code to buffer when it's against a residential use. So in this case, I agree. I would love for the trees to be in an area where more people will enjoy them. But in this case, it's a code requirement to have the trees against that residential to provide the buffer. I'm going to speak, and Fabiola, you can tell me if I'm wrong or not. But I'm not certain that with the decommissioning that this property will become something that is more publicly available. So putting the trees somewhere else may not get to that end goal. Because I don't know what the property is going to end up being used for, but I don't believe that it's going to turn into a park.
Yeah, I don't believe there's any future plans for it. Most of the property is in the floodplain, and that's the main driver for getting rid of the wastewater plant. So ultimately, that will just be green space.
Those owners had no opinions, the two residential owners? Oh.
Is it Ms. Leahy? Okay. We have to record our proceedings, and it cannot capture your voice from where you're sitting. So if you wanted to, and if the board is okay with you stepping up to the podium, even though the public comment section is over, we would appreciate if that's what the chair would like to do.
Yes, very much so.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms.
State
Leahy.
your
Appreciate it.
name and address for us, please.
Hello, I'm Gloria Leahy. I live at 2203 Myrtlewood, the house with the metal roof. I really don't know much about the plant, just that it does flood. So when it has flooded, we got all that sewage on our property. So if by decommissioning it, if that is a guarantee that I'm not going to get that sewage, I'm happy with that. But as far as, I'm not too sure what the whole buffer with the trees are, because it doesn't bother us. We have that 8-foot fence anyways. And we don't hear much, just the little click from we can't see much from our house anyways.
All right, are you for the motion as the city's presented it, or nay?
I'm happy if I don't have the sewage coming into my land, and with it being open, that we live on the dead end, we get so much traffic from people who cut through that dead end because it's a shortcut. So we do get the go-karts, we do get trucks too that will come, and instead of going the regular way, they'll just go through that dead end. So we are completely flexible. We're happy where we are. We know where we are, the risk that we have with the flooding. We haven't had much issues, just that, when the last time we flooded and the sewage, it was massive. It was massive amount of sewage, and we found out it's because the treatment facility flooded, so we got all that.
All right, well,
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Appreciate your comment.
Thank you.
I'm going to ask a question that doesn't have anything to do with the zoning on this issue. What is a lift plant?
So it actually does have something to do with this. So perhaps Mr. Stevens could help us understand what a lift station is and how building this to today's standards will affect flooding, which is what was prompting this to happen in the first place, and hopefully have positive impacts on Ms. Leahy and her property.
Absolutely. The flooding was really the driver for this project. The entire wastewater plant is in the floodplain. It has flooded a few times. So the goal of this project is to eliminate this wastewater plant. And what we're going to do is install a lift station. So a lift station, right now, all the sewer makes its way to the wastewater plant. So we're going to intercept it before it makes its way to the lift or to the wastewater plant. Intercept it, put it in this pump station, and this pump station is going to pump that wastewater to the Berry Rose wastewater treatment facility. And we are with Berry Rose doing a summer project. We're expanding that facility, but most importantly, we're making it more resilient for the city of Pearland. So we are raising everything up out of the floodplains, and we're going to do the same thing here with this lift station to reduce the chances of flooding and the release of sewer in the future. So right now, we've raised the top of the lift station above the flood protection requirements. So in essence, trying to reduce or eliminate the spillage of wastewater in this area.
Will the existing infrastructure be taken down or hauled off, or?
It will. So the plan is to anything at ground surface, pavement, buildings will be demolished. The structures that are there will be taken off from 5 feet below grade, and everything will be backfilled. It'll just be green space once we're complete.
Well, thank you. The reason I asked that question is there are 2 of us on this board that live within a half a mile of this location. 3 of us now live within a half a mile of this location. So this is kind of important to us. It's personal tonight.
That's one of the drivers for the location of the lift station is that we have to keep the existing plant in operation and then build this lift station. And right now it's in the higher part of the site. So that's why we've kind of pushed it in this corner here, is to be able to keep that existing facility operating and trying to get this thing as far as we can, or far away as we can from the Clear Creek.
Thank you, Mr. Stevens. Any other questions from the board here?
Mr. Schrum, I apologize. I think I misled you because I misnamed Mr. Buck originally. It is Mr. Buck.
Yes.
And then I corrected myself giving the wrong last name, and then you followed that. So, Mr. Buck, thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Yes, thank you, sir. All right, it's time now. We'll open this up for staff consideration or conversation or questions or discussions among the board members here. Any questions? Oh, I do have a question real quick, Lawrence, if I could. The city has or has not platted this area where this is going in?
The city has not platted it yet. The plat application, I think, has been submitted. I think that the approval of this item has to happen before that can happen. Or was that the building permit? I know we debated this like time and time again, which one had to come first.
The plat has been submitted and will be placed on the an August agenda for planning and zoning. Off the top of my head, I can't recall if it's the 4th or the 18th, because it is dependent on BDD4's approval of the plat as well. This application is a prerequisite of the building permit to allow for anything to start there. So the area which is being requested for the variance, just to circle it on back, is this blue L, which on my photograph here is the yellow L. And that is the only area which they are requesting relief from, is the plantings within that space. Everything else is meeting code requirement.
Okay, so we're within.
All 3 of these processes are going on simultaneously, so that way we can get this project off the ground and in the ground.
All right, I just didn't want there to be a question somehow of, whoops, should have done the plat first. Okay. Any other comments, questions, observations?
I would just like to say I do recommend the approval, but I would like for the verbiage to be put in that the masonry fence be tied into the existing, maybe some language on the type of fence that will be used, the 8-foot masonry fence.
Are there any concerns from an engineering perspective that the 8-foot fence tie into the existing fence?
No, we already tie into that existing fence. What we don't do is take it across the pipeline easement, though. Um, you, the right there by kind of where those last trees are is the end point of the existing fence, and we're going to tie into it, just like shown there, and then run parallel with the lift station site. So the green space that's there, that kind of bluish area, is still going to be, open. We'd have the same restriction of trying to put a fence across the pipeline easement. We could put a fence across the pipeline easement, but they do not allow masonry fences. They require metal fences that you can see through, so that they can, drive by and observe their easements.
Specifically, the fence that will go next to the residential, the dead end area, will that part be masonry?
That part will be masonry, yes. Yes.
That would be up to the chair's discretion. I don't want to say no. I'm just saying now that they're in a different portion of the agenda, that might not be possible. Sometimes it can be with the chair's discretion, and he has to say yes or no first.
It covers or does not cover a pipeline underneath the area we're talking about.
I'm sorry, what was the question?
This area of the fence we're talking about, I thought in earlier discussion, we talked about the fact that that's an underground pipeline there that's covered underneath the fence. Or I might have my pipeline in the wrong part of my brain, but there's no pipeline under the masonry fence, right?
There's a lot of lines on the screen, which is what makes it a little confusing. Okay. The fence, and Sheldon, feel free to correct me if I'm wrong here, but the fence is on the outside of the easement, abutting it. It is not inside the easement. I may have misspoke earlier when I said that Myrtlewood would dead end and you would have a fence. So this is, that was a mistake on my part. It would be on the edge of where that pipeline is.
Okay, so
correct.
But there would be a fence encapsulating, so to speak, around the whole project, essentially.
There will be a fence around the entire lift station, yes, but it will be on the page below the green line that runs across there. So we were keeping the fence away from the pipeline easement and the existing sanitary sewer line that runs in that area.
The section where the reflective barrier is at the end of the residential street, is that section going to be entirely closed off with a masonry fence?
It will not be entirely closed off, no.
But that section of the fence isn't part of this special exception.
It is not. No.
It is not.
I'm sorry, this variance. Yeah, it is not.
It is not part of the variance request. Okay.
Correct.
All right.
Good.
You're good. Okay. Any other discussion, questions, issues, comments, reasons? All right, let's move into consideration and possible action. Don, could I get you to read the recommendation, make a motion?
Make a motion to approve variance VAZ 2025-0268, a variance for landscape requirement for new lift station at the former Longwood treatment plant.
All right, second?
I'll second it.
There's been a motion and a second. All in favor of granting the variance, raise your hand, please. And that's unanimous, so there will be no nays out of that. So the motion and the variance is approved. I don't think we have any other business tonight that we need to worry about. And let me see if I can get my telephone going here. The time is 6:41 p.m. and we are adjourned.